Hi everyone. Welcome to Chanting and Singing Power Songs in Shamanic and Animistic Practice. My name is Marissa Lovett and I'm really excited to be here with you all today. Um, I'm going to be checking back so that anyone who watches the replay, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Just leave them in the comments. Because of the video thing I use, StreamYard, I don't know if I'm always going to see your name. Oh, hi. But I will actually see some of the streaming comments that for people who watch now. But anything I don't see, I will go back and answer later. And just very much appreciate all of you taking time to be with me now. So if you feel comfortable with this, we're going to be doing a little bit of practices. So we're not just going to be, I'm not just going to be talking. So if you have a candle or an oracle deck, a tarot deck, or if you just happen to do the runes, just have them sitting by because we're going to try to do a little bit of poetry today. Hey, Latanya, how you doing? So just for a few minutes, if you feel good about this and you're in a place where you can do this, just close your eyes and I'm going to go ahead and ask my spirit helpers for some help. Okay. So, why do power songs at all? The purpose of power songs, as far as I see them, are twofold. Power songs are a way of, and you can do this with poetry. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how in the Western European tradition, the really old traditions, this was done with poetry. So charms or power songs, or in the Norse tradition, galdralag or galdr, these are all ways to ask your spirit helpers to be close to you. And they're a thing that you can do without a rattle or a drum or any of your animistic rituals, attire. You can do them when you're not around an altar or if you're not around a medicine bundle or whatever it is you work with. And you can also do them to power up certain objects or plants or things that you're going to work with. So they're incredibly versatile in the sense that they're always with you because your voice is always with you. And when it's not appropriate to work speaking or singing out loud, you can chant them or sing them silently. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I use two types of poetry from the Germanic traditions. Then we're going to do a little sort of poetry practice with your oracle or tarot deck, or if you have runes, or even if you have a collection of stones. As long as you know what the stones mean, you can use them to write poetry. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a short journey with a spirit animal and try to write a little song about our spirit animals. So this may take a half an hour or a little longer, depending on how long things go. Okay, so first thing, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the Germanic traditions, because this is like an actual Northern European practice. And some of these things are over 1,000 years old. So the first thing I do is I work with plants a lot in my practice. And I use songs to activate the spirit of the plant. And it doesn't matter whether I'm working with the plant as a spiritual energy or as a flower essence or as a physical entity. Either way, I always try to do the song first or the chant first, because that's my way of saying, please, spirit of this plant, move closer. So I got really introduced to the idea of doing a hand bath, which is where you have a bowl or something like this, and you actually place your hand or your palms or something like that into a bath that's filled with an herbal tea that is sort of like warmish, not too hot, for about 15 minutes. And you do this maybe 3 days in a row. And this is a practice that was taught by the Sangoma, John Lockley, in his series, The Way of the Leopard. And he also teaches classes. Now, he does a very elaborate and very beautiful ritual that's very traditional, and I don't do that. What I do is a modified version that's based on the Germanic traditions. And in the Germanic traditions, there's something called I'm probably not saying this right, the Lagnuga, which is an old text from the Anglo-Saxon time that is a poem or a series of poems and instructions for working with herbs. And the most famous one is something called the 9 Herbs Charm. And one of the herbs in the 9 Herbs Charm is chamomile. Now, chamomile is super easy to get, and that's one of the reasons why I use it. Some people can even grow it. And in the Old English, it's something like maith. And so the way I work with it is I have my warm water, or you can do it in boiling water. And, oh, hey, Jen. And you basically take obviously you take the wrapper off, but you take your bag and you would chant with the open bag in the warm water. Now, if you want to do this, you can just call on Maith, Hail Maith, Hail Maith, Hail Maith, and do it 9 times. 9 is a sacred number in the Germanic traditions, and it activates it. But if you want to do this part of the poem, it says, remember you, Maith, what you revealed, what you accomplished at Allerford, that never for flying venom did he yield life, since for him a man prepared Maith for food. Now, sometimes I'll just say, remember, Maith, what you accomplished at Allerford, because what you're doing is, in the Germanic traditions, and this is even true of the powwow doctors that some people are familiar with, the Pennsylvania Dutch powwow doctors, instead of talking about a plant, they might talk about Jesus or Mary. But they're basically telling a little story when they're doing the healing of how Mary or Jesus miraculously healed something. And by tapping into this mythic world where there's no time, they become merged with Jesus or Mary doing this healing thing, and they can do the healing thing too. So this is what you're doing when you call on Maith. You're saying, remember, Maith, you did this powerful thing a long time ago, and now you're going to do it again for me. And this is a very powerful thing. And then you just put your hands in the bath for like about 15 or 20 minutes, and then pour the bath out. And then I like to do an offering for the chamomile later that night. And I like to add a little bit of kombucha or ale or beer, anything you have that's sort of alcoholic. But you can use anything from your traditions. The other thing that you can do is, if you like, is make the chamomile and activate it with the poem as a tea, and place it in a container by your bath or shower. And then after you shower or bathe and wash yourself off, so if you did a bath, you would like take your complete bath, drain the tub, fill up another clean bath, and take your activated tea and pour it into the bath. And then have another bath, which is like a spiritual bath. And this is where the activated power of Maith, the chamomile, is empowering you and healing you. If you do it in the shower, after you rinse off, then you take the chamomile tea and you pour it on your body with the activated power of the herb helping you. So that's just one little way that you can use poetry from the European traditions. And there's all kinds of charms in the Scottish traditions, and like almost all the European traditions have charms. And the charms are like these little poems, these little almost like ditties. Now, in the Germanic traditions, the really old traditions, they didn't use rhymes. But we, as especially English speakers, we like rhyming poems because they're easier to remember. So I made something, a dream galder. And this dream galder was a little poem or a little charm that I use before I go to sleep if I want to journey in my dream. So this is how my dream welder goes. And if you know anything about the runes, you'll recognize two of the runes. Lagus guides me to the dream. Algis shift betwixt and between. Philia guides to my desire. In the dream my weird is clear. So that's just basically a little charm that I make for myself that I will sing to myself 9 times. Now, usually if I'm lying in bed, I'll sing it silently because I don't want to wake the other people up. But you can make your own charms. And obviously, the way I did it was I made the poem so that the first 2 lines rhyme and the last 2 rhymes rhyme. But the way you get the ideas started is to start the line off with the thing you're doing that you're calling on. So since I'm calling on 2 runes, Lagus and Algis, I start the first and the second line with Lagus and the second line with Algis. This will be a little bit more clear when we do the actual exercise. So if you have your runes or your cards or your if you have stones that you know well, or anything that's like a divinatory tool for you that you know really well, this is a good time to kind of take it out and have it in front of you. And you want to take a few moments to focus on your intent for your charm. Now, this charm is just going to have 2 lines and it's going to rhyme because we're going to make it really, really easy. So it's a bit like making a poem, but you're using tarot cards or oracle cards or crystals or runes to give you the first line. Because the first word in the first line is the thing you're calling. So you need to pick a divination system like a deck or stones or runes that you're really familiar with, that you know the meanings of each one. Because you're going to go through these things face up and look for the appropriate symbols that are right for you. So I'm going to demonstrate this now, excuse me, with cards. Now the cards I'm picking, this is an oracle deck. This is a deck called the Fairy Ring. The nice thing about using an oracle deck is that you have both the images, see if you can see that. Yeah, okay, it's a little easier to see here. I'm gonna have to shift this so it's easier to see the card. Yeah, there. Okay, I don't know if you can see this writing on this. Is called the Sea Mither. And it's a woman with a bunch of fish. Now, if you know the meaning of this, then you can use it in a number of different ways. When you're working with cards or divination symbols, you know that you have an intuitive message that goes with it. You have like sort of a symbolic meaning, like 3 of Swords might mean heartbreak for some people. And you have like also like maybe an esoteric meaning, like swords have something to do with the air element, or 3 is a numerological number, which is a little bit more academic. So you just want to play with whatever it is that jumps out at you. So don't overanalyze it. So the first thing you want to do is take your divinatory system, and you want to have a system, an intent, sorry. So my intent is going to be, I'm going to make a little poem about bringing in joy and prosperity. So I flip through my cards, and I'm going to look for 2 cards that I really love. One of these is the Oak Man. He just means like good things happening. And the other one is, I'll bring in the Fairy Queen. These are elders. She's an elder, and I love elder. Now, these don't necessarily mean having lots of money, but they're beings that I associate with like strength, resilience, and attracting good things that I want. So this is the Elder Queen. Hopefully you can see it. And this is the Oak Man. So now you have your two cards or your two stones or your two runes. And you have your intention. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to light a candle. And we're just going to basically close our eyes, look at the candle. Excuse me. I'm getting a little garbled today. Apologies. Look at your cards again and just really sort of absorb the imagery. And then just close your eyes. And I'm going to rattle just for a few minutes. Okay, so when you're ready, just come back. And you'll probably have two basic images or impressions or feelings that are associated with your cards. So just look at them one more time. And mine with the Elder Queen is of her holding like sort of something good and of brightness. And I heard the word bright. And of the Oak King, the Oak Man, I just got the feeling of solidity, solid and strong. So my two sentences would be, Elder Queen, you are strong and bright. And then the Oak Man is Oak Man. You protect and bring in what's right. Now, this is not the greatest poem ever, but it has the energy of it. So when I want to like call on these energies into my life, I'm bringing in these beings and asking them to do this work for me. Now, it's not like you have to do it this way. I'm just giving you a simple way to make a charm that's like based on your knowledge of your own divinatory system. And you don't have to rattle or journey. You just have to find your way of going into a trance so that you can be a little bit less analytical about the cards and a little bit more energetic in your relationship to them, and and energetic in your relationship to the meanings and the words that are going to make up the charm. This is a great practice that I'll try to put into my schedule. Very cool combo of cards and stones and cats. Oh, cool. I'm glad. That's exciting. So this is just one way to go about making a charm. And I like to use the old runes. I sometimes I do something that's an Old Norse practice of writing a poem. It's a complicated poem called a Galdralag, and my sister and I both do this. My sister Kirsten, who was earlier one of the presenters, and the way I got over my writer's block with it, which she like showed me how to do, which is just to pick a rune for the beginning of each line. And you can do the same thing with cards. So if you're ever stuck and you're trying to write a magical spell or something, get out your cards or whatever it is that inspires you and just divine, because they'll tell you what to do. Your spirit helpers will tell you what to do because they want you to connect with them. So this is just one way of doing it. So now we're going to switch gears. We're going to get out of the European traditions, and we're going to go a little bit more into core shamanism. Now, in the core shamanism traditions, and I'm basing this on the book, The Way of the Shaman, which I'll show you in a minute. One of the first things that you do, besides learn how to shamanically journey, is to connect with a spirit animal. But you don't need to shamanically journey to connect with a spirit animal. What we're going to do today is just assume that there's an animal that you love, a type of wild animal. It can be in your environment. It can be on some other part of the world. It can be an animal that's connected to your ancestors. It doesn't matter. The important thing is just that you feel great admiration and energetic connection to it, because it's your love and your praise that's going to go into this song. So what you're going to do is I'm going to, and you can, if you want to ever find out more about this process, here is my incredibly beat up copy of The Way of the Shaman. Let's see if you can see this or not. It's very old, but I can't remember exactly where it is, but basically it's one of the first things you learn how to do. And the power of this song is not something that should be underestimated, because these power songs, they helped me during an illness. I had a disabling illness when I was younger. And one of the reasons I started to actually have faith in shamanic and animistic practices was because they helped me with my symptoms. Otherwise, I wouldn't have believed in them. So singing and chanting is a very powerful way of doing things in the traditions. So we're going to try two little practices today. Now, the first one is a little bit more complicated. And we're going to call your spirit helpers to you, especially your spirit animal, the animal that you admire the most that's in the wild, or the one you resonate with the most. And if you already have a spirit animal, then call that one to you. And I'm just going to talk you through this. And then what I'll do is I'll rattle for a while. And then when I rattle really quickly like this, that means you're going to come back. So go ahead and close your eyes, and we'll get started. Now I want you to see before you the most beautiful and powerful tree you've ever seen. Its trunk is so large that you can hardly see the edges of it. Its roots go down beneath the ground, beneath the worlds. Its trunk and its branches reach out to all times and all spaces. Its crown is above the clouds, above even the stars and the Milky Way. This vast, beautiful tree is before you. And everyone and everything that you've ever experienced is held within it. Now you're going to call your spirit animal to you. And next to this tree, in whatever way that is safe, your spirit animal is going to either take you or show you what it's like for it to experience its joy and its power. So now you're back, or you're fully aware of the world tree and of the room you're in. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. So the thing you want to do now, and we'll just do one more practice after this, I promise, is you want to get a sense of what it was like to feel that joy of that animal. And you start out your song with, like, let's say you saw a bear. You say, "Bear, you are beautiful. You are, you stand on your tall feet. You eat honey." Whatever it is you saw the animal doing. And that's all you have to do. It doesn't have to rhyme. It doesn't have to have beautiful words. You're just describing the power that you saw in the medicine of the bear, the energy of the bear. Because when you sing the song, it's going to come back to you. So just take a few moments and just get really clear on what that was. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be 2 lines. It can be 1 line. It just has to be something that really pulls that thing for you in words. I didn't want to come back. That's cool. You're a very powerful journeyer. I had a lovely session with Latanya years ago, and that was fun. So you want to pull some of that energy, because the thing you're doing with shamanism or animism is you're working between the worlds. So when you're in the other world, you're bringing a gift back into this one. And the gift is the energy and the power of that animal. And in those words, like bear, you're running, or bear, you're climbing a tree, or whatever, those words are the joy of the power of that animal. So you've got maybe like a couple of words, okay? Don't worry if it's, beautiful. Just remember those words. Okay, so now you want to have a little bit of a song. The song does not have to be a beautiful melody. It just has to be something you'll remember. The right song will sing itself through you. If it's a really good song, it will become, what people will talk about, like an earworm, like you'll get a pop song in your head and you just can't stop thinking about it. The right song will kind of sing itself through you, so that you it's almost like weaving its way into your cells, so you can't forget it. And you just keep going. You just hear it over and over and over again. So we're going to try to find a little bit of a melody for that song. So I'm going to, once again, light a candle. And we're going to try and find a song. If you don't find a song on the first try, it's no big deal. People teach entire workshops on this. Also, there's a practice called hunting for a song. And what we're doing right now is a little bit like that practice. It's like a baby version of it. So once again, you're going to think again of the power of that, whatever that animal was doing that was so beautiful for you. And this time we're just going to do this for a very short time. So what I want you to do is just whistle in a really sing-song way. Okay, so while you were whistling, you may have heard the little bits of a melody. And I'll give you one of my songs. This is the song for Elder. As you can see, it's not a complicated song. It's not beautiful, but it brings that energy right to me. And that's all I care about. So this is just a really short demonstration of how you can build the pieces to hunt for a song. If you don't have another song and you want to do shamanic work, I would have a power song for your guardian animal spirit. And this book will teach you how to do it and how to work with it. But hopefully what we did today will get you started. If you're interested, I'll leave some of the instructions for how to do a power song from The Way of the Shaman as a separate post. But I'll just say thank you very much for allowing me to be here today, to Latanya, to everyone who watched live, and to anyone who will watch in the future. I love doing this work. I'm very happy to answer questions. Please feel free to reach out. And if you're interested, I'm going to be leaving a link for my Linktree, which has different ways to work with me or find out more about what I do, my YouTube, stuff like that. But Kirsten and I also have a wonderful free group that we love called Animistic Earth Medicine. And that's one of the links in the Linktree that I'm going to be posting the after we get done here. So, oh, that was so good. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Latanya, and thank you for all just making such a beautiful space for me to share with you today. So I hope that some of this will be empowering for you in some way, whether you go the more Western tradition of making a charm, or even just using your tarot and oracle cards to kind of brainstorm for ideas when you're trying to write, or whether you try to do this more shamanic, a little bit more animistic way from core shamanism of working to hunt for a song. Chanting and words are powerful, and the most beautiful way to find that out is to work with these sacred songs. So I'm just going to say thank you and thank my spirits. Blessings.